for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Monday, May 12th. Thanks for watching on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. In all transparency, this podcast was recorded before the games tonight because Eric Engels, my guest, and I, well, we absolutely wanted to watch, of course, Carolina, Washington in its entirety because the game, if it didn't need overtime, is already over now that you're watching. But if it did need overtime, well, then it's in overtime. And it's on right now as we speak. And starting a little bit later on, or actually started already because once again, it was a 9:30 start, the game between Edmonton and Vegas. But all you need to know was it was pre-recorded before the game started. So if we don't bring up the games, there's a reason why, and that is your reason why. Who is going to win the second round of the playoffs? You can go all the way with Betway and get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account. Redeem your welcome offer. Offers only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offers not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years of age and older. And please play responsibly. You see that fridge behind me? Well, that fridge is Tibi, and it is stocked with Tibi. They launched their new Ultra Lager. It's a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer, perfect for the summer with only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% ABV per can, available in a pack of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province of Quebec. It's ultra light, ultra refreshing. I'll talk to you about a few more sponsors and some of our partners a little bit later on in the show. Without further ado, let's bring him in for Sportsnet, sportsnet.ca. Eric Engels, what's going on?
What's up, Tony?
Well, we've been on the theme of report cards for the last week. And I think the plan is to actually do the entire team, the general manager, and the head coach. I can tell you that I've been a part of 3 of them so far. Matt did Jake Evans on Friday. And I've been a part of Kent Hughes, Nick Suzuki, and Marty St. Louis.
Easy A's.
I gave, was it an A for Nick Suzuki?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Marty St. Louis got an A, and I believe we gave Kent Hughes an A+ or an A. I think it's something like that. Yeah, I should know that. We should.
You got the easy work out of the way. I get it.
Yeah, we got some of the easy work out of the way, and I think today's going to be a little bit more difficult because no fault of his own, or not all of it, but it was a challenging season of ups and downs for Alex Newhook, and I'm glad that you're the collaborator tonight, and we're going to go with Newhook because I think you can give us maybe a little bit of a different look or a different perspective on Alex Newhook. Let's bring up the report card for Newhook, the empty report card for now. If we have the graphic. No, that's not the graphic I was looking for, but that's okay. I was looking for the graphic of the actual report card that we do and we put on social media, but I'm sure we'll get it in just a minute. So until then, why don't we go back to that graphic that we just brought up, and it says Hockey DB. And there's a few things we're going to have to keep in mind here. And that is, out of all his seasons in the National Hockey League, from a point production standpoint, this was the most difficult season of Alex Newhook's career. 26 points in 82 games. A year before, he had 34 points in 55 games. The year before that with Colorado, he had 30 points in 82 games. The year before that with Colorado, he had 33 points in 71 games. And the year before that, he had only played 6 regular season games in the National Hockey League. So from a production stat, from a point standpoint, it was the least productive season of his career. From an assist standpoint, it was the least productive season of his career. From a goal standpoint, it was, tied for the most productive season. But in terms of goals per game, probably the third or fourth best season, because he had 15 and 55 last year and 14 and 82 the year before that. Anyway, you get my drift, Eric. Let's talk about Alex Newhook's season, and I'll allow you to start wherever you want to start.
Yeah, you're right. This one's a really difficult one, and I'm not sure how different my perspective will be than anybody else's, other than to say that, if you're just, are we waiting on the grades? Are we giving a grade straight up?
No. What we're going to do is I think we're going to take a look at a lot of categories. So we'll take a look at, that graphic that we just saw in terms of his points. We're going to take a look at where he was in the face-off circle. We're going to take a look at where he was in time on ice. We're going to take a look at where he was in plus minus. We're going to take a look at different categories, and in the end, we'll come out with a grade.
All right. Well, to me, it all goes together, right? You have to consider what the role is of the player. Alex Newhook was thrust in largely a two-way role. So he wasn't purely offensive, wasn't purely defensive. I think there was a lot more emphasis put on him becoming a better defensive player this season, rounding out his game. And there were, in some respects, he was very successful in that. In others, he was really challenged. And he's like the toughest. He's the toughest player to evaluate on this team, I think.
You think so, eh?
I really do, because if you look at just purely from a production standpoint and what his role was and what his ice time was and his opportunity, it's like hard not to give him a failing mark. But the thing that makes it difficult to evaluate him is that there was large periods of the season where you could see how hard he was playing and how hard he was working, and the type of impact that he was having on the game was much more positive than it ended up on the score sheet. So again, I know we're going to wait till the grades come out. It's obviously not going to be as good of a grade for him as many of the other players on the Canadians would get in a year where they progressed.
Let's start with the points. Let's start with the points and the goals. So 15 goals, which same amount of goals that he had a year ago, but in 27 less games.
It's a D-, like right there. That just from a production standpoint, the fact that he played second line minutes for the entire season, the fact that he had a power play role, a lot of it was out of his control with the way Kirby Dach played, with the way Patrick Laine played at 5-on-5. Him just not having the type of line mates that would lend to, he's not going to be the guy that stimulates the offense for everybody. He's a guy that's shown that he can finish some plays. He was mismatched with pretty much everybody who he played with and where they were at and the way they were playing. But at the end of the day, he owns his own play, right? He owns his own production. And when it's as low as it was, considering the opportunity versus what it was a year ago, where he broke out in the second half of the season, I don't see how you could do better than giving him a D- on that part.
He played pretty much the entire season on what was supposed to be the second line, right? He started the season, of course, with Kirby Dach, and Patrick Laine got hurt during preseason, so he and Dach were together. And then when Dach went down, Alex Newhook was asked to center that line, which was difficult. He's played it before. He was the third line centerman when the Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup, but we saw that he struggled in the face-off circle. And the season ended actually with Alex Newhook on the wing, with Jake Evans centering the line with Newhook at left wing and Ivan Demidov at right wing. So we showed you the points, which was a career low in his career. We showed you the goals, which was a career high, but it was better last year because he did it in 27 less games, and better the year before, where he was 1 goal shy, but he also did it in less games. Let's take a look at other graphics that we have prepared for Alex Newhook. And let's take a look at where he is in points compared to other players on the team, where he is in goals compared to other players on the team, where he is in assists compared to other players on the team, where he is in plus minus compared to other players on the team. But not before I talk to you about Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America. They are driven to be different. And a shout out to Playground. What would you do with $2.5 million? I would probably hang out with Eric because now I'm finally hanging out with somebody who's got as much money. It's time to find out at Playground. Every hour you play poker earns you entries into the multi-millionaire maker promotion. Join June 1st from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. for hourly draws and your chance to pick 5 lucky cards. Hit a royal flush and you'll instantly win $2.5 million. Visit playground.ca for details. All right. I got a good laugh, good chuckle out of Eric on that one. All right. Let's bring back up that. Okay. So Nick Suzuki.
We're doing this podcast from my condo, not my mansion.
That's okay. Your condo in Bora Bora in Tahiti, where Fiji?
Griffintown.
All right. It's a pretty cool place. Nick Suzuki led the Montreal Canadiens in points, of course, with 89 points. Cole Caulfield was second with 70. Hudson third with 66.
Tony, are you going to do this? Are you going to go down the entire list here?
No, I was only going to give the top 5 because
okay.
Even though, see, not everyone's going to watch the podcast. Some are actually going to listen to it, Eric. But so we'll do this. Suzuki, Caulfield, Hudson, Slavkovsky, Gallagher, Evans, Liney, Dvorak, Matheson, Armia, Anderson, who was 1 point ahead of Alex Newhook, who finished with 26 points. So there you have it. Alex Newhook finishes 12th. If my math on the fly is
offensively, D-. Not quite an F because he's got 15 goals, but D-.
The 15 goals, of course, Caulfield at 37, and Suzuki had 30, and Brendan Gallagher had 21, and Patrick Liney had 20, and Slavkovsky had 18, and then we find Newhook and Anderson with 15 goals. Not bad. From a goals, 15 goals is it's not easy to hit 15 goals in national. It's a good. I think he has the potential to hit 20.
It's the only thing saving him from. He definitely has the potential to hit 20. He scored 15 in 55 games the year before.
Yeah,
that's the fact that he has as many as 15 is the only thing keeping him from a failing grade from an offensive perspective. And it sounds. And that's the difficult thing about this, because watching Alex Newhook for a lot of games this year, it didn't look like he was failing out there. Like, he was unlucky. He started to hit the net a lot more frequently, which helped him produce a little bit down the stretch. Mm-hmm. Missed the net far too often. It's left us with questions as to what kind of player this player ultimately will be at his top end, right?
Why do you think, from a defensive standpoint, because you talked about offensively, why do you think from a defensive standpoint he was minus 21? And I know offense has a little bit to do with that, of course, because if he would have produced more, that number wouldn't have been as bad as it was.
I think from October to February, specifically early October, November, those games where Doc just didn't have, forget about his fastball, he didn't have his changeup. Like, there, I'm not pinning it all on Doc. Newhook had his responsibility on it too. It's just he got dragged through on the line that just they were on the ice for all the goals against 5-on-5. They weren't producing. So that's where you end up with a big number in terms of, leading the Masters or however you want to put it. But the funny thing is that from a defensive standpoint, there was a lot more to like about Newhook's game than we've seen in previous years. There was a coming around to the idea of Marty St. Louis talked about a lot, playing with defensive pace, using his one asset, like his biggest asset, which is speed.
Yeah.
From a defensive point of view. And we saw him improve a great deal in that regard. And it really leaves me with the ultimate question with this player, and what makes the evaluation so difficult with him is like, one part of me feels like if he replaces Christian Dvorak and he's playing with Anderson and Gallagher on a line, like the main change I see is that line becomes a bit more productive. And I know that's hard to swallow with what his production level was from the second line. But I just think the challenging thing about that is if he sees a lot more defensive zone draws and can't figure it out in the faceoff circle, like there's been many players where faceoffs were a weakness and they turned it into a strength, let alone they got better at it. Can Newhook do that? Because if he can be a really good third-line center for this team. I really believe that. But the fact that it's still a question is in one part troublesome, in another not that troublesome because he's got 2 years left on his deal to figure it out and try and make that work. It's just you would have liked for many more questions to be resolved on the season, which makes, like, if you look at the whole of his season, Tony, he's not going to do much better than a D- on the report card in every category. Like, it's just, there's too much that he left. He left you just, what is he going to be on this team?
I would say the Canadians are leaning towards putting him there in between Gallagher and Anderson. But at the same time, I don't know if he convinced me to be a centerman this season. I saw some of the things you saw and the playing with pace. Saw some of it even in that Washington series early on where he was, first one back in his own and he was playing that 200-foot game and he was hustling and he was working it. I agree with everything you said. He was put in a difficult position, a position that I don't think he was ready for, to be the second line centerman of this team. I think logic dictates that he's going to be the third line centerman and replace Dvorak. But I'm wondering if he's not a winger instead.
Like, he might be. And he might be one who, if you put him with Demidov and a real quality center, could end up producing a lot more than he did this year. He's shown that ability. It's just, I just feel like he himself is caught in between what he should become here. And part of him is holding on to that idea that he can still be a top 6 forward in the league with that type of potential as a guy that was drafted 16th overall, I think, by Colorado. And I get it. I don't think he should give up on that at his age.
Yeah.
Just, I feel like if he could appreciate the value that he could bring to the team by being a real shutdown player and providing some offense from the middle 6 and a third line kind of role, and he can work on his faceoffs to the point where he's winning 50% of them and become more trustable in his own zone to take them, that is his future with this team or any other that's going to be successful in this league. I don't think his future on a good team is as a top 6 winger. I don't see that.
Yeah, but let's take a look at Slafkovsky. Slafkovsky was a perfect complement to Suzuki and Caulfield. Perfect complement. Suzuki's 5'11", but he's very thick. Caulfield's probably 5'7.5", 5'8", whatever it is. And Slafkovsky's probably about 6'3.5" or whatever it is. F1, goes in there, works hard, digs pucks out. He complements that line. Can Alex Newhook complement the line with Evan Demidov right now at this stage of his career? On the opposite side, on the wing?
He can if there's a big centerman between them who can play with pace. The part of the thing with Newhook, I find, is that his pace is hard to play with for some guys. And I find,
who's going in the corners to dig it out?
He's not shy or afraid to do it.
I know he's not shy, but he's not.
And by the way, I know we're caught on positions and everything, but there's many times where a center ends up being F1. So
F1,
big guy,
yeah.
Like, I'm more concerned with, can he start to find a way to, how do I put this, regulate his pace? Like, Joe Sakic was one of my favorite players ever. And the thing that he was incredible at, he could burn you. I mean, he was one of the best skaters in the league. But if you watch Joe Sakic carefully, he'd burn through the neutral zone. He'd slow up coming over the blue line to draw a defenseman in and then burn right around the guy. Like, he'd change gears. He could double clutch and push it into, fourth from second. He could slow himself down to second gear and then make that move. I find Newhook is fifth gear. He's in fifth
shot too.
He's in fifth gear all the time.
Yeah, it's true that.
And that works in some areas of the ice, but offensively, it leads to a lot of one and done type of action.
A former Montreal Canadian that used to be in fifth gear all the time was Russ Cordell.
Yeah, and that worked
for him.
That worked for him at times because he could put the puck in the net.
Yeah, he had a couple of seasons where he scored goals. You're right.
And like, if you look at Newhook's most obvious or glaring highlights this year, they're rushes right down the middle of the ice on the second power play unit as the carry guy.
Yeah,
going through people and getting a great scoring chance and scoring. Like, he had at least a couple of those this year. So I don't know. Can he find a way to regulate offensively, regulate his pace? Can he find a way to be a really much stronger face-off guy than he has shown so far, and be put in those situations where he's leaned on to take more of them from a defensive standpoint, because we did see some improvement from a defensive standpoint. I think that's kind of where we leave it. Like for me, Tony, you look at the whole picture here.
Yeah.
It's not, if you're a Canadiens fan and you like Alex Newhook and you want to see more from him, I think the frustrating thing is like he hasn't answered all the questions there are about him. There's so many questions remaining about him. And I just think you put the whole package together and it's a D to D- as a grade for his season.
Let's take a look at one more chart before we complete it. Here you have it. Okay, so it shows you shot percentage, I took some players here who played center. Obviously, some who did not. Patrick Laine did not play centers on this list, but Dvorak, Beck, Evans, Suzuki, Laine, Kapanen, Newhook, and Doc. What I did was I took a look at face-off win percentage, and I ended up going in order. Out of the players that took face-offs with regularity, of course, it's more so Dvorak, Evans, Suzuki, Newhook down the stretch, and Kirby Dach. Newhook's a little bit better in the face-off circle than Dach was, winning 42.8% of his draws, where Dach won 40.3%. Suzuki won 51.6%, Evans won 52.9%, and Christian Dvorak won 55.8%. When you take a look at the 42.8 in the circle.
Yeah. Two questions come to mind immediately looking at that number, by the way. One is, I'm curious what his number was in the offensive zone, and I'm curious how many faceoffs he took on the whole comparative to the guys you have. Because I think the more repetition you get, the better you become at doing it. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, most of his responsibility was to take faceoffs red line and in versus red line and back. And I'm wondering what the numbers are in each zone, which I know, you don't have that in front of you, but it doesn't matter. The whole number is 42.8, so it's obviously not good enough. It doesn't, in my mind, it doesn't influence whether or not he can be a center, but it definitely influences whether or not he could be the third line center. And he doesn't have enough top-end offense to be the second line center, which is why I said all these questions kind of exist about what he is moving forward for them. You think he's a winger. I think with his pace down the middle and what he showed defensively, he could be a good center, but he's got to improve dramatically in the face-off circle if he's going to be trusted, because he's not going to be the second line center. He's going to be the third line center. So I don't know. If you put him with two guys like Gallagher and Anderson, who are that responsible, does it work? Does it start to flip the other way where that line becomes even more productive than it was this year, and Newhook can take care of some of the defensive responsibilities, and maybe not to the level that Christian Dvorak did, but do a good enough job that it's net positive. Like,
he took more faceoffs than he's ever taken in his career. Mind you, he probably would have beat that mark last year had he not missed 27 games. He took 558 faceoffs, of which he won 239. Once again, 42.8%. He had a year in Colorado where his first full season in Colorado, he had 34.7%. His second season, he had 41.4%. Last year with the Canadiens, he had 46.5%. This year with the Canadiens, 42.8%. So he's never...
Like 500 something faceoffs is not a lot.
No, I know it's not. Yes,
over an 82 game season, if you were thrust into a third line center role where you're being put out for a lot of D zone,
he took on average 7 faceoffs per game.
Yeah, it's not a lot. It's really not a lot.
Yeah.
If you go look at Dvorak and Evans, I'm sure the numbers are double that at least.
Yeah. Oh no, there's no doubt about it. I'll see if I can find them in a second. But
what do you like? Do you think if you were to bring that number up to 50%, what would your belief level be in his ability to be a third line center?
More than it is right now.
Yeah, if he was playing with those two guys, if he was playing with Gallagher and Anderson, I mean, chances are you can mix it up. People are going to label the lines next year. If Montreal gets done what they want to get done, I think you're going to likely see Gallagher with Evans and Anderson, and you're going to see Heineman and Kapanen with Newhook, something like that. Those could be interchangeable lines depending on where the faceoffs are, just like they were this year.
So if they have a great offseason, you could see them on a fourth line next season.
Well, no, I wouldn't label third and fourth line. I think it's more situational. which line is starting where, what part of the ice. That's basically how it goes.
Well,
right?
I know coaches like to talk like that. I take a look at time on ice,
But
and that usually gives you a pretty good indication.
But time
of
on
who's
the
gonna
ice is
start.
going to be relatively even depending on where the faceoff situations are. It's going to be relatively even between those two lines, and special teams is going to, at 5-on-5, you're looking at two lines the way those two would be assembled and saying, one night this one's going to play 1 minute more, and the other night this one's going to play 1 minute more. There's not going to be much of a difference there.
One or two more stats on what will be, of course, an abbreviated version of the Sick Podcast, because they pretty much always are in the playoffs. Brought to you in part by Accent Insurance Solutions. You know, all insurance isn't created equal, and you know where to find the right solution for you. Accent Insurance. Accent doesn't sell insurance. They shop insurance for you to find the right product right on the money. Whatever your insurance needs, home, automobile, or business, you can reach them at 514-363-3636 or visit their website, www.accentassurance.com. Carey Price is going to be in Montreal. Carey Price, I want to bring that up. Eric, did you know?
Nope. Oh, yes. Yes, of course.
Sports Celebrity Evening, which you and I, Eric, have been participants over the years in what was the Sports Celebrity Breakfast. And this is going to be for the Cummings Center Foundation. It's going to be a Sports Celebrity Evening for the very first time. It's going to be on Sunday, May 25th from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. VIP cocktail meet and greet. Fireside chat with Carey Price and other Montreal Canadiens players at the Gelber Conference Center. And tickets are on sale for $360 in support of seniors' mental health and well-being at the Cummings Center. And I can tell you that the Sick Podcast, we will be there.
Yeah.
So we look very much forward to that.
I can tell you that I intend to be there too, but I might be covering the third round of the playoffs depending on how this thing goes. So
I got you. For ticket information, check out cjcsfoundation.crowdchange.ca, cjcsfoundation.crowdchange.ca. One of Carey's former teammates, Paul Byron, once again has confirmed that he'll also be in attendance. And knowing the organizing committee, I'm sure there'll be a member or two of the current team that's going to be on it as well, because they always seem to get somebody out there. It's such a great event. It's exclusive. Tickets are going fast, so get your tickets now at the website that we just talked to you about. Okay, the last graphic of stats that we had, and that showed his face-off percentage. Let's bring it up. Okay, time on ice. Alex Newhook played 15 minutes and 8 seconds. His shot percentage was 12.07. Eric, there's more stats that we can take a look at, but we don't have to at this point. We're not going to start taking a look at block shots or whatever. So your thoughts, once again, you gave a couple of grades. What would be your final grade for Alex Newhook?
Yeah, I think final grade, everything considered, it's a D. And I don't see how he could do much better if anybody were grading him. And it's taking into account that, like I said before, there was a lot of games where you watched him play and he had a positive effect on the game. It just wasn't reflected on the score sheet.
Yeah,
but still, the fact that only tilts what would be a D minus otherwise, or even an F, up to a D is not. It's not what you were hoping for, and it's not what Alex was hoping.
Well, I was leaning to a D minus, but I have to tell you, 15 goals, I think it's a nice mark. So I think that A1, that'll save him. B, I think, I think everyone knows that at this stage of his career and the team that they had, that he should not have been on a second line, but he was. So he's taken out of his comfort zone. Some view it as a great opportunity, but if you're not playing with players that can help you, it's not a great opportunity. It actually hinders everything. So all in all, we'll end this off with a D. Speaking of Carey Price, by the way, I want to end it with this. He was named to the quarter century team. So we have a graphic here. There you have it. Henry Lundqvist, Roberto Luongo, Patrick Waugh, Marc-Andre Fleury, Marty Brodeur, and Carey Price. Pretty good company, huh?
Yeah, first team to have 6 goalies on it. It's pretty good.
Pretty cool. I guess it was so difficult they couldn't decide on 3. They went with 6. But once again, congratulations to Carey Price on another very nice achievement that I'm sure he's very, very proud of, and with reason. Eric, thanks for doing this. We'll talk to you again soon. Who's going to win the cup? If I ask you right now.
Who's going to win the cup? Jeez,
yeah, if I ask you right now.
Pull that one out of your pocket?
Yeah. Dallas.
I don't know.
I totally understand your answer.
What if I told you
every game it changes, right?
Yeah, like it almost feels like it's a pick 'em right now. I think, Carolina, and this could change between now and like that we're talking and when people are watching this, that they have an edge over Washington right now, but that could change. Would it surprise anybody if Winnipeg tied things up on Dallas?
No, I wouldn't. Can you imagine Carolina versus Dallas and Rantanen scores the winner?
The big
or Stankoven scores the winner for Carolina.
Scores the winner, yeah.
That's something.
I had imagined it. The big question for me is what's going to happen between Toronto and Florida. I feel that there's been a lot of validity to the idea that Toronto is different this year. Craig Berube has made them different. They seem more committed to playing the right way than they ever have before.
Yes.
But that theory is never going to be put more to the test than it will in Game 5.
You're right about that.
They're coming into this with all the pressure having shifted back to them. And will they handle it the way they have in the past, or are things actually different?
They better win that Game 5 in Toronto, because if they don't,
they're in trouble.
And they're in serious trouble going back to Florida Game 6, who are already very good, but they're a different animal when they play in Florida.
I have a conclusion here that I believe in.
Go for it.
I don't know what you think about it. If you want to win the Stanley Cup, you have to be willing to play dirty.
Okay.
I think...
And intimidating hockey?
Intimidating and dirty hockey. I know people were not happy with what Domi did to Barkov at the end of that game, but put the foot on the other shoe. Put the shoe on the other foot. You don't think Bennett and Tkachuk and whoever else are going to do that stuff? They're going to do that stuff. They have done that stuff, and they don't care if they get suspended. Next man up, and they'll go do it too.
I hear you.
And if you want to win,
it's been a very dirty series, and an eye for an eye, and all that stuff. I get that,
but it's not just the series.
I really don't like what Domi did, though.
I don't like it either.
I don't like what he did, because
I don't like it either.
I never like it. I never like it when it's obviously premeditated. I never like it when the player doesn't have the puck. I never like it when there's no time on the clock. I never like it when a player's a couple of feet from the boards. And I never like it when it's on a star player, and I never like it when you see his numbers. All of that happened on that play. And that's why I really hate that more than a lot of other things that I've seen that are, by the way, probably close to as bad, if not worse. But all that put together, I really hated it.
I don't like it either. But if you want to win the Stanley Cup, you got to be dirty. That's my belief.
Well, I hope for him
it doesn't everything.
I hope for him it doesn't backfire.
They can't suspend everything.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just a feature of Stanley Cup winning hockey. And we don't like it. We don't like seeing it. I don't like seeing a guy like Barkov get hit from behind with no time left on the clock, and they're winning 2-0. Pretty obvious what's happening. We saw Tkachuk take a really late run. I can't remember which player it was. In the Tampa series, Hagel? Was it Hagel?
Yeah. We saw Tkachuk basically saying, "Oh yeah, Nylander, you're next."
Yeah, and look at what Ekblad did to Hagel. All right, he got suspended. They don't care. Somebody else is coming right into his spot to do the same shit. You want to win the cup? That's how far you got to take it. If you want to win a 7-game series that's rough and tumble, you want the players you're playing against by the time they get to Game 5 to say, I don't know what this person's going to do to me if I go get that puck. You want them thinking in the back of their head, this person's crazy enough to put a stick through my teeth or put their elbow through my head. And I know that's tough to hear, but it's just become the reality of the playoffs now.
Yeah, we look forward to the rest of the playoffs, Eric, and I look forward to talking to you again sometime next week. Ciao for now, my man.
See ya.
All right, there you have it. Eric Engels, sportsnet.ca. Special thanks to Shane Gaumont and Master Control, and to all of you watching, and, of course, to all of our sponsors. Talk to you again tomorrow night. Same time, same place, The Sick Podcast.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. Tibi, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.